All right. Good morning, so. So, today is March 7th. It's a Tuesday. And we're feeling all right. Went to bed at, I'd say, around 11:30. Woke up at like 4. Got out of bed at around 6 o'clock. Went for a walk with the doggy. And got to my computer a bit early. We have Devin's mom and brother here. They're staying for a couple days. So we went out to dinner last night, had a few beers, and we're gonna go to the Springs today. So exciting stuff. All right, let's pull this up. So yesterday, what we saw was continuation as expected. Wait. Yeah, so this morning, feeling, I would say, pretty relaxed, like content. Feeling pretty excited for the day, but kind of have like a looming tiredness. And really, like, I feel a little bit frustrated with the current trend of how I've been doing. And I feel like it that in itself is kind of harming me because it really does bring about overthinking. And I feel myself kind of like grappling with my emotional state, like, because I know how I'm feeling, which is that I'm becoming frustrated and I'm trying to hit home runs and I'm damaging myself. Like, if something happens that I don't expect or that I don't like, I react by harming myself. And that's kind of the current pattern. I wrote about it in my journal. Let's see if we could pull it up. Or actually, I probably have a picture. All right. Well, there's two conflicting things here. Usually, I lose the most at the open, and these are 15-minute bars. And for the first hour of the day, I typically do worse, and then the second hour of the day, notice how it's all green. Also, notice how throughout the first hour, I take the most trades, and then the second hour, I take less trades. So the more trades I'm taking, the more I'm losing. And it takes me usually a bit to get aligned. But what's interesting is that this area here, this 15 minutes at 9:45, I have been performing decent. Actually, the second best out of everything else. I'm not sure about what sort of coincidence that may be, or what sort of pattern that may be. But the broader pattern is displaying that the first hour I'm not doing as well, and the second hour I'm doing a lot better. And then I also want to go over the daily journal. So what I wanted to acknowledge here is that at the end of each P&L curve, notice that there's mostly a downwards skew. So we got so right here, this shows out of all of those sessions, 20 out of 30 days, at the end of the session, I am curling down on my P&L. I think what that is telling me, this pattern, is that I'm not capable of sitting on my hands and being emotionally resolved when I'm discontent with some factor of either the market or my participation in the market. So I start to feel like I need to make something happen towards the end of my session. I guess maybe I want to, I don't know, fucking catch a buzz before I leave or something. But what I wrote in my journal regarding this is that for the goal, one of my goals for today, let's see, where is it? The next time I make a bunch of back-to-back impulsive decisions, stop and meditate. Find out what my inner thoughts are saying so that we could weed out this issue. Because it is a pattern that I'm recognizing, but it's so subtle when it's coming about and when it's happening that even though I know it happens, I am yet to be able to find a meaningful way to prevent myself from acting and finding resolution beforehand. And that also leads into this. Be so comfortable sitting on hands. Likely there's not a good reason to take more than 4 or 5 trades, and that is still a lot. Do not soothe my emotions with urging myself to be in a trade. The majority of trading is waiting. Right? We already know that. But according to the Zella Insights, when I have a winning day, I take an average of 5 trades. And if I'm taking more trades, it seems like I'm not doing that well. I'm not sure about how concrete that pattern is. I do have like 30 trading days in there, so yeah, 32 now or 33. Yeah, I was pretty disappointed with the way that I handled the market yesterday because I knew coming into the day that we were likely to continue moving upwards, and I was still shorting all the way until this break, where I finally got long, and then I was trying to play catch up or whatever, and I was taking bad trades right in here, in the middle, because I'm forgetting what the rules are in trend configuration. I did review this pretty extensively in my journal. And now today, what we're seeing is a balanced day inside of the extension day yesterday. So we have the previous volume point of control sitting at 40.75, and we're bouncing with this 50 zone acting as a magnet. And we do have that weak structure above. So we mostly have two scenarios for today. Given the context, this last week, it seems more likely that the market, it seemed more likely that the market was going to continue up towards 90, or like yesterday's plan was that the market will probably just chop around 50 and then maybe the next day make a run. It did make that run, but it did not reach that 4090 location. So essentially, after that happened, and then we had a neutral extreme down day, and we're basing on the inside, it becomes a inside out mean reversion day. So mean reversion rules and balanced conditions apply today, especially with Powell having his announcement at 10 o'clock. He has the testimony. So mean reversion could look like a test of 75 and then a break back to the overnight session to this 50 location. And it's essentially going to be mean reversion until proven wrong. So the previous low a day here is kind of like the line in the sand for mean reversion back up. And if we break below this previous low a day, then this head and shoulders looking pattern is likely to play out. And we have all these single prints lower and this 23 area, which is fairly important if we see from previous sessions. Yeah. So today, I'm discussing the market right now because I feel like one of my issues is that I'm not grasping the rules of my strategy well enough and how much they depend on the previous day's session and the overnight session. So I just want to recap that. Okay. So my strongest attribute today. So I made an opening option out of range cheat sheet for future reference, which is great because that's going to be the way that I gain confidence and create a plan for that sort of opening range. So I just need to keep creating those cheat sheets and adding to them over time so that I could build confidence regarding making plans for certain market contexts. I catch one good long on migrating volume. Yeah, that was really only my one good trade from yesterday. The rest were not that good. After my impulsive decisions, I sense my tilt and decide to walk. Yeah, I did do that, but I also couldn't leave without firing one more poor bullet that morning. So my weakest attributes from yesterday. Twice today, I'm making plays upon a VPOC migration when the context is outside in. When the VPOC migrates up, do not short the VPOC migration. That is outside the strategy. Yeah, I believe that yesterday I really had a bias for the market getting the stats at around 50 as the most probable play. And it was causing my expectations to not match reality because my priority inputs was biased towards what seems more probable to happen throughout the day as opposed to actually physically seeing that VPOC has migrated, we're breaking higher, we have large impulses, we held the lows. So, that turns into me essentially perceiving my mind and imposing it onto the market context as opposed to just reading the market context and responding accordingly. My other weakest attribute from today was when price is moving, I don't know what it means to wait for an outside edge, and I take multiple losses. After the first loss, I become mindless and take two more in space. In trend configuration, I need to see outside edges to trade. Yeah, and another part of my strategy that I was thinking about is when the market is trending, my strategy is not as active because I need to wait for outside edges to find a trade that aligns with my strategy and risk reward. So when the market is trending, it's just very obvious to point out key locations and not act unless the market reaches those locations or unless the market continues to break higher and then I have to reassess. But there's no operating in the middle because my stop is too tight for that to work for me. Any recurring tactical and emotional patterns? Friday, I took three losses right at the end of my session, and I did the same thing today. The majority of my sessions turned downwards at the end of the session. According to this chart, I performed better during the second hour of my session. Yeah, I did review that already. I don't think I necessarily have means for tactically controlling my actions based off of the way that I'm feeling. I don't think that I have that behavior pinned enough. I think that it just turns into I need to become more aware of when I'm hunting for something and I'm not sitting there and waiting. And when I have those subtle signs of losing patience and when I feel tension inside of my muscles, as if I just can't relax and I need something. That feeling, even though nothing has happened yet to justify that it is actually my emotional state that's going to create the losses, that feeling I know based off of the past will harm me if I let it. So some observations. Everyday bread and butter makes a business, not the outliers. Yeah, I need like 7-point rotations. 10 points, 15 points is great. But, the 30-point trades are not going to be what makes my business. It's going to be the everyday bread and butter. So, based on today's report, what are tomorrow's goals? So, I'm still working on broadening my higher time frame context analysis. Specifically, I want to look at the previous day's session and the overnight session to create a solid bias for the open and then incorporate what's happening into the chart with the scenarios that I've laid out for myself and make a conclusion as to what the market may do. I've been following John and FT for a while, and I finally feel like I'm becoming a little bit more self-sufficient with even knowing what to look for, what to read. So it's a work in progress. Do not operate at retail price in balance. Yeah, it's retail price. It's not on sale. I'm an astute shopper and I'm not looking to pay retail price. All right. So I think I talked enough. I just want to say one last thing is that with this overnight session being very balanced, patience is going to be key for this morning. And I want to sit on my hands until a part of my plan begins to take action and I could perceive it as so. So there's no reason to rush or feel FOMO or anger. We're just here to have fun. Yep. Alright, I'll be back. GG. Okay. So, like we said earlier, context is balanced. We have the previous close in line with the overnight point of control. Overnight low is just set here. Yesterday's close was fairly bearish. We're unable to test. Let's see where the open was. So we already broke the overnight low. All the lines sitting on top of each other. First VPOC migration. Price check. Likely to be balanced until Powell speaks. Here's a price check. Some buying volume there to get above the levels. Really, in this context, we're looking for outside edges. Slight break. Test the VHVN. Testing the low. So we test the VHVN, break lower, retest VWAP in mid from below, testing the low, come back, test VPOC, auctioning the low, slight break, liquidity stepping in, stops below the previous low a day. We tap the previous low a day, impulse from the low, price check VHVN, back at the low. Hold the low a day, grinding back up. Liquidity stepping in beneath. See some buying and then some exhaustion. Price check. Hold this volume again. This is now considered a weak high. Grinding above the open line.
The higher time frame Morning chart. What does the chart say?
So we just tapped the previous low a day. And then we're now rising above the levels and the open line. Stops are probably going to be above the previous close, where we see that liquidity. So we test above the open twice and then fail, break through. Now we're testing all the day levels from below. Popping back up. So we do have the open line break potential, but outside in seems much more favorable. Or if we start selling off, which I don't think is as likely before Powell speaks. Tested the low again, the high again, and now we broke this auction here. Come back to retest the 50. Liquidity sitting underneath. Now we're starting to move. We caught stops above the previous close. Open line break. Back at the high here. Breaking high again. Looks like we may continue. Kind of difficult because of the extreme balance to play a move away from balance.
Narrate the market, not my mind.
See some stop divergence here. Retest of the open line again. Not really any follow through, so I don't want to put my risk here. Overnight high at 65. Potential target. Would need to see a impulse, another impulse, and then a retest. Sell iceberg here. Breaking through. Some buying. Testing the volume here. Potential for VPOC to migrate. Testing the open line. Stops picked. Very choppy. Not really sure how to handle this. Seems like sellers are winning this. Okay, so now we're auctioning the low here. We've stopped below the previous low a day. Looks like a little buying structure. So we see extremely choppy action. Price comes up to 53. Retests. Retail. Tests, can't break. Breaks lower. Tests the low a day. Can't break. Now we're testing all the day levels from below. Liquidity steps in. More stops down there. So I guess this could be considered a short. Tom might have taken that, but I do not want to. We see another break, and now we're retesting. Here we are testing again. Seeing some buying come back in. If we're going to break out, then we need to break this with an impulse. So we do pick the previous low a day there. Now we're auctioning above the open line. That could also be a retest of the volume here. The range is so shallow that mean reversion doesn't really have range. I don't see anything yet. Liquidity is stepping in pretty heavily at the 52-53 level. We just saw a flash below 50. We test the low day, we break it, and then we test the volume here. Now we're auctioning lower. Stops taken. I'd like to see an impulse above this high and then a retest of the volume here that was created. Alright, there's an impulse. Come back down towards the open. Test of the open. Break high. Howell will be speaking in 9 minutes. Test the high. Some sellers step in. There's nothing from stopping it from coming down and testing here. We're seeing chop, and we have not been able to get back up there. Now we're returning. Retesting this volume here. Break. Still waiting for Powell. I could see us continuing up, but there's nothing I could do. Maybe this is it. As mentioned pre-open, nothing to do here until after Jay Powell. $101K trade so far versus 193 expected. So what that tells me is that a ton of people are waiting. Look how tight. Look at the book. All right. Let's see some movement here.
Sell stocks.
Whoa. So now, essentially, back up here at the SOC is where we would look for I see some stop
Sell stocks.
divergence. Doesn't really matter though. Here's some structure. Migrating volume, high volume node. A lot of volume here. So we have a high volume node up here. We're gonna have VWAP. Okay, reversal. Some volume up here at 32. Break, retest.
Order submitted. Order submitted. Order submitted.
Stop and narrate the higher time frame chart. What does the chart say?
What does the chart say?
Order submitted.
We get on board that pullback. So we have 24-ish
Order submitted.
and 20. Break the low, another pullback. Selling is still coming in
Sell
here.
stocks.
There's my target. Still looking for that 20 area. High volume node here.
Order submitted.
See if we get some continuation down to our target.
Sell stops.
More stops taken. Still coming down.
Order submitted.
That's what I'm willing to give back based off of this structure here. Pull back to that structure. Need to see a break here. Liquidity is stepping in underneath. FT said one Vala Sigma down is 14.75. I'm pretty good with front rushing this. That's another break of the low. When it reverses, I think it'll be fairly aggressive.
Narrate the market, not my mind.
We seem to be gravitating around this 24 level. Breaking the low here. All right. Nice. Good job. Good job. There's nothing to say that we can't see continuation, but that was my trade plan. FT said expecting two-way action here, at least temporarily. Continued selling imbalance. Yes, buyers unable to find their footing around the 24 stock zone. As mentioned, in plays land next mark is 12 stock zone. Key extended target is Millennium Figure. There was an attempt to hold this 24 area with absorption. That was another opportunity here. Anyway, let's keep narrating. So we're coming down to that 14 zone. We see some buying at this zone. Our first potential area to interact is around that 25 area. And then we also have 27. So that's in confluence with the stock zone. But we are still continuing. So we see an insane sell-off, and then I catch my footing here at this first structure. Take the short. Of course, we're creating lower lows. So there's other opportunities. But this one was the most clear to me. Stock zone at 12.5. 15. This has some volume attached to it. All right, we see our first structure break. So shorts are currently on the hook. And this is a good run. We have an LVN up here at around 20. Selling structure. We continue to break. So the Fed wants a 50 basis point hike instead of 25, like they said. LVN at 22.5. We have to pay very close attention here. We have volume here. We're seeing some signs of exhaustion, a break. We have this volume here. Basing. That's a break. So we can look for a pullback to around 20.
Sells tops.
Pretty hard to get on board that, I would say. Because we see this large impulse and then structure here and a break up. We do see some stop divergence, break lower, so there's a potential short here. Break lower, test this volume, stall out, potential shorts, break lower. This one is also has potential. So they're there, but they're difficult to catch. Yes, if we should get a structured pullback, the 31 stock zone confluence would be key now, IMO. Area of a key fight plus Bostic and 24 anchored VWAP, as well as RTH levels. Yes, that 31 zone. So this area is what we want to look for. And we hold that area again and we see a large impulse. Very decent straight up impulse to the 20. Breaking. So we're in two-sided trading now. The context has changed. We're still on shorts. There's no longs. 72 pick. Very fast. Where'd we come to? The LVN. So we do break the structure, we come to the LVN, we find more sellers. We break lower, but this time we catch at 18, which was the volume here. And now we break the structure and we come back to 20 to test. Upon a test of 20, we find sellers and break the low. So we'll see if this volume catches down here. Take a look at that 15 or 30 min. ES. Yeah, it's pretty intense. So we test this volume. So we make a low, we break high, we hold the low, we break high, hold the low, we're breaking high. Very much unfinished auction to the downside. IMO. Shorts would want to remain short for a bit here. We did put in a higher low and take out the last swing high on one point and figure, 1 times 8. But there was no follow through, and it showed absorption. Yeah, so if we break this to the downside, then obviously we could use this as structure for a short towards the key figure. So I see us holding lows here and trying to grind our way up higher. Here's some more profit taking. We've broken above the volume. 24 is a potential area to look for a counter rotation. And we'd be looking for the obstacle. High volume node here. No stops up there.
Vice tops.
More stops. Another high volume node. This 31 area is pretty key. So we see the chop break. Now we've just broken the high. Coming up, we have VWAP coming up. Important area here.
Order submitted. Order submitted. Order submitted.
That was kind of diced. So we're going to be targeting that 21-ish. Probably in here.
Order submitted.
And then we have somewhere in there like 16-ish.
Order submitted.
Break the low here. High volume node at 27 with structure. Another high volume node that we catch on. Alright, so we did want to interact there, but we didn't. There is little structure, but still slightly difficult. There's my first target. Alright, we could probably move this.
Order submitted.
Little breathing room. Watch this 22 area, says FT. Note we moved up with an impulse higher, so things might be shifting. Overall bias is still short. Yeah, so that was the LVN there. Pivotal area to check.
Order submitted.
I think that looks pretty decent. Structure created.
Order submitted. Order submitted.
Let's see what happens at this 22. If we start reversing back from this 22, then I could also just exit. So FT said, now the question is, do we get a new LOD out of this 31? I don't know, do we? We are auctioning below here. Still holding structure. Tested this volume, held. See some buying. Test the high. Some liquidity steps in. Now we're pushing. IB is set 12.5. So that's our target.
Order submitted.
We're holding here. Stops picked. I won't feel bad about getting taken out of this. Which we do. Pretty large run. We could look for a retest of some sorts. That 22 does hold. It's important to notice. FT said he's stepping aside. So it's important to note that this 22 held and we impulsed straight up, broke the high. So this area is pretty important. We also have something called VWAP to VPOC. I see a slight structure break there with stop divergence. I see a slight structure break. And we're continuing. That's a big run. We have that VWAP to VPOC potential. If we return to this 31 zone, all right, we see some structure. FSVWAP at 38. Our next area to interact is at the 47-ish area. We break the high, and now we're back here. Breaking low. And it looks like it's holding there at the 33. IB high is at 54. Break the high. Testing. Break the high. Breaking highs, holding lows. So I'm really happy I didn't act on that second impulse after we held the 24, 22. My stop was in a good location as well. So I would consider this a perfect trade. And I noticed that context was changing.
Buy stocks.
Buy stops up here. Really small, high volume node. That 47 area is the LVN. FSV WAP, that's what we picked. So we're looking at the 47.5 area. And then we also have IB at 54 to watch for. We see stop divergence here. From the way down, we reached some volume. And it looks like we're going to get a counter rotation out of this after testing that FSV WAP. I see stop divergence. I see a break of structure. Yeah, so we break the structure, come back up, test the high, 31 stops, immediately reject, break the structure again, and then we can't move higher. Testing this area here. This 31 area is pivotal. Stops are going to be beneath here. $154 stops taken. Testing this key 31 area. And we break through the 31. That was a really nice short. We didn't get the pullback though I wanted, even though I guess that was it. We're in that volume area. Stops taken.
Order submitted. Order submitted. Order submitted. Order submitted. Order submitted.
All right, we're going to place that at the low. We're using that VWAP as resistance. All right, we get filled. Now we're back looking for 22
Order submitted.
and the IB.
Order submitted.
So, given that we broke through this area again, I feel like we should find some continuation.
Order submitted.
That looks about right. That would have been really nice short, but it didn't have a location. I wasn't really watching for it, so it's fine. We create a low, we take stops, and now we're auctioning above. It looks like price is kind of struggling though.
Stop and narrate the higher time frame chart. What does the chart say?
What does the chart say? So we see a clear-cut structure here. Break of the 31 and VWAP holds, pull back to the volume, break low on volume, pulling back here, finding a struggle from buyers, testing the low. Some buy ISIS stepping in.
Buy iceberg.
So this guy, it looks like he's either loading off a short or loading a long. I don't see why he'd be loading a long, personally. After he's done with the shenanigans, we may see a pop downwards if it breaks.
Pops.
There it is. That fills me. Okay, and that fueled a large run. And now we're targeting the IB. The IB is sitting at 12.25. So we'll give it
Pops.
a point of room to breathe for our final target. We broke the low of this structure here. So now we want to see the 22 start acting as resistance. We're trading for stats here. We could also move our trailing stop. This area looks pretty good, 28.75.
Order submitted.
Willing to risk the 10 points to get to the IB. And if we create structure here, then I could move my stop. Looks like a potential shorting opportunity, but it also looks like a head and shoulders. In this area, it's more of a management.
Order submitted.
That looks fine to me. This was the first volume created on the way down past that 21. And now we've created structure here to rely on where sellers say they're interested. And that's my stop. See a stop pick of the 25, the 22. Potential short here.
Narrate the market, not my mind.
Continuation. High volume node at 24.5. Structure here. Breaking into structure. We see 9 stops up there. One stop. Continuing. We're well into the structure. Stops are above 28. That was potential. Volume at 23, so we auction above this 22. We don't want to really give it up yet. High volume node here. Hi.
Love you.
Where are you going?
Georgia.
Really?
Yeah.
What time?
Back from 4.
Okay, I love you. Counter rotation, we hold the volume. Break the high. Liquidity in the book at 30. VWAP 30.25. Structure up there. Key level. Stops running. Pick, fall. That's a pretty good structure there. A little too quick for Nick. Maybe continuation. VPOC migration.
Order submitted. Order submitted. Order submitted. Order submitted.
Scaled. Obstacle.
Order submitted. Order submitted.
Final target.
Order submitted. Order submitted.
VHVN. High volume node, I mean. Okay, that's our first target. Got to break this obstacle. Selling is continuing. Large selling volume. All right, that's my final target. So now we have the IB play. IB is at 12.5. Yet to be hit. If we get IBC, then the target is the gap and millennial figure at 4,000 aligned with liquidity. If we get an IBF, then we look for realignment. We have a high volume node at 20. IB is yet to be taken. Looks weak. We have volume up here. Stops taken. 20 high volume node, or it's 18.75. We'll look for structure in this area. Seeing some exhaustion.
Order submitted. Order submitted. Order submitted.
Stopped.
Order submitted.
Putting it back on.
Order submitted. Order submitted.
Scaled. Still hunting for that
Order
IB.
submitted. Order submitted. Order submitted.
Near miss.
Order submitted.
Shorting structure. Another one. Yep.
You want to go, what time do you want to go, like 12?
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Is that perfect?
Yep.
Okay.
They're playing games.
Order submitted. Order submitted. Order submitted.
Games, games, games. Coming down again. Train for stats. There it is. Testing the IB.
Sell stocks.
Stops. Pretty decent selling.
Order submitted.
Price is pretty extended, so I'm not extremely interested in playing IBC. I caught my trade when I played the move away from it after it wasn't hit. So we're below that 12 stock zone.
Order submitted.
Structure is being created. I'll give it enough room to pick the IB. And then after that, I'm out. I think that's fairly reasonable. Maybe it'll just continue though, which will be pretty nice. But it looks like we're finding some sellers running out of steam. So potential for counter rotation and a pick of the IB. We're picking it. We'll give it one more tick. Nice. We're at structure. 20 stops. It looks kind of like balance here. Right? All the lines are kind of aligned around the 31. Kind of looks like balance. We may even be able to see the VPOC shift down. Didn't expect that to turn lower after the push to FS mid, although indications is bias being down. I saw good support on the first impulse back up at 22, and that's my exit point. I saw it too. Given that this is news-based, I have a concern that we run into an SOC situation, so I'm quick on the trigger. I hear you, buddy. So we're up. Selling structure. Pull back. We also did test here and here. Still does look like a selling structure. We have stops above here that might want to get tested. It looks like it's rolling over though. Nope, I was wrong. So we're testing the high here. We know we have stops above 18. We know that this is a high volume node. We know that 22.5 is an area of interest and is also an LVN. And then above that, it's fairly balanced. So the context is shifting. We ran out of steam at 4,009. We impulse above the IB. We retest the IB, and now we're counter rotating. We're taking out stops. Okay, so it does. It picks the stops here and then creates the selling structure, and it's heading back down. tests the volume here. Very structured. That's a break of structure there. Pull back to the volume. All right, well, I'm going to call it here. That was a really good session. I'm going to just look over the trades that I took real quick. So, one thing I want to notice is that in chop, I get chopped up, right? Once there's volatility, I'm doing really well. So this trade was in chop, not really good. First short, did a good job on it. Second short, taken at the perfect location at that test. I get 2 targets and then I trail my stop, which is a perfect trail. We come up, we come right to a 37 area. 40, I see the short, can't take it, no location, not ready. We sell off below the 31 key level. I get on board as we're holding the VWAP in that 31 level as resistance. I get scaled. I get my first target. After we pop up above that 20 here and the structure breaks, I take my stop. Price runs right back to my entry. Shows signs of exhaustion. We see VPOC migrate with structure. Take a short. Stops above. I get scaled. I get my first target. I get my second target right at the IB. IB isn't hit. Counter rotation. Come to the 22 area. I take a short. I get 1 ticked. I gave it enough room, but I get 1 ticked. Stop pick, come back down, below the volume, retest. Short, I put it right back on. I get my scale. Target is the IB. Get the IB target. Looking for 4K. Promising, breaking out the champagne. We exhaust. I put my stop above the IB. And now it's chop, chop, chop. Downward skew. So I would have had to sit through a lot of pain and the potential of being stopped to get right back to where I took my trailing stop. I'm happy with that. Really green day for me. Another VPOC migration. Really big stop run off that IBF. All right. Nice. So I made back like 4 days of losses today. The action was clear. A lot of opportunity. It's a really fun day. All right, I'm gonna go enjoy some springs. GG.